Welcome, my friends, to the second video. I hope you're enjoying analysis, critical analysis, written and oral communication. We are going to examine critical approaches to analytical writing. The first thing that we need to understand is our purpose in writing. Why are we writing? Are we writing to solve a problem? Are we writing to create new ways to achieve goals? Are we writing a summary that will tell us about the situation, writing about what an author has talked about? Are we summarizing what already exists? Summarizing the information that exists. That is helpful for us in our generation of information, but we're here to analyze. So in high school and middle school, we learned to write summaries, didn't we? What the author said, what the situation was. We also wrote a lot of compare, contrast. And those are helpful too. That helped us to see patterns, that helped us to see differences. And so compare and contrast were also a part of our information gathering. But we're here to analyze. We're here for more than that. And then we were also, perhaps you were on a debate team and you were given a topic and a position, and you were going to prove that position. Well, you learned how to create an argument. The argument doesn't necessarily help you learn. It helps you to prove the position that you have already taken. So with analysis, the goal of our writing is to understand what existing information there is and to evaluate that information and ask questions. What if? So what? What do I need to understand? And if I have this information, what will I do with it? What can I use it for? So we are focused in this class on analysis that takes into account summary, compare, contrast, and argument, and reporting, evaluating. It all goes into analysis. So we're going to untangle all this information that you will have gathered, and it will be somewhat messy. And we're going to untangle it, take one strand at a time, and wrap it up into a ball and connect it, connect all the different colors, all the different shapes, and we're going to add to the conversation, and we're going to add to that, and it's called analysis. So we're asking questions: who, what, when, where, how, and why. You've already been very familiar with that, but now we're going to ask, so what? What do I do with this information? What new application can I create? What new innovation that will help many can I create? And what if I looked at it upside down, through a different lens? Or what if I just turned it inside out? Analysis untangles and connects. So we have this beautiful jacaranda. We see the purple, we see the green, we see the bright blue. It's a beautiful sunny day. We see the brown branches and the neighboring tree as well. And we see the little blossoms that have beautiful shapes and varying colors. Okay, so what if we looked at this from a different lens, through a different perspective? What might we find? Could we learn something from it? Let's have a look. Wow. The same photo looked at through artistic effects, through different lenses. So, what do we do about that? There was a special needs teacher in Corona, and she had some challenges with her students, because they came into the classroom and they were all excited and a little jittery and needed to move. So she took them outside and she had them walk around the track several times, and they were much easier they had settled down, they were much easier to teach. And she thought, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reward them for walking around the track. And so she would get them, the first time they would come into the classroom, she would take them outside and they'd walk around the school or they'd walk around the track. And she would hand them popsicle sticks every time they made it around. And then at the end, they would redeem their popsicle sticks, and she'd mark down how many rounds they had made. Well, she then decided that she would measure the distance and then reward them each time they reached a goal. And so for the first goal, if they had reached 25 miles, they got a t-shirt. And the t-shirt, she made them all hand painted, with puffy paint and everything. And the kids were just loving it. And they were learning in the classroom. Well, the rest of the school kids saw all these kids in her classes getting these t-shirts and extra little things. And so they wanted to be members of the club. That's how the 100-Mile Club started. It's now international. She got so busy with the 100-Mile Club that she's no longer a special needs teacher, but the founder and leader of the 100-Mile Club. Some of your kids may have been members of the 100-Mile Club. She looked at things differently, and she asked, what if? So there are 5 analytical moves that we can take in order to do an effective analysis. We must stop and suspend our judgment. Instead of judging her students, why can't they? Why, they're just really rambunctious kids. And why can't they be still? She suspended judgment. And she defined the problem. And she defined the context. What did she notice? And she ranked the issues. What were those things that were limiting their learning? And she asked, why is this interesting? And then she questioned, what can be done about it? What makes the implicit explicit? Push my observations to implications. I'm observing this. What does this imply? They've got all this energy. What does this imply? They need to spend this energy. So let's take them outside and walk them a little bit. She looked for patterns in the classroom, and the patterns of repetition and the contrasts. She looked for the anomalies, and then she reframed the whole situation. She continued to ask new questions and create new explanations. And pretty soon, the 100-Mile Club was born. She asked, what if? What if instead of judging, I created something new? So, analysis has 3 parts. One is observation. That's the very first thing we need to start with. We need to be focused on everything in the picture. So you see this cat is very focused on, we don't know what, but we do know that he's looking at nothing else. But we see his eyes are intent. And your eyes need to be intent upon all that is surrounding the situation, all that is surrounding the information. And we need to look at it from different lenses, just as we looked at the jacaranda, just as the school teacher looked at the situation in her classroom. And then start interpreting. And so to interpret, you have to gather information, all the information that you can find. That would be information that you observe, information that you research, and information that you gather from colleagues, from professional trade journals, from peer-reviewed scholarly journals, from interviews with professionals, from conversations. And then, like these gentlemen here, use your Post-it notes and rearrange them. Create synergy and excitement around all that information. Rearrange it for sure. And then we have interpretation and then application. So we have all these pieces of wood. What are we going to do with them? Are we going to build a new concept, build something innovative, build a solution to a problem, a challenge that you're having at work? What are we going to do with it? It doesn't make any sense to do all of this work, all of this observation, all of this interpretation, all of this research, if we're not going to do something with it. Apply it to your life today. So there's called something of a method that might help. And it's looking at repetition of words or details. So what are you seeing? What are you seeing? Are there strands or similar details or words in all of the research, all of your observation that might help you? What are the binary oppositions, those organizing contrasts that you've noticed? And you're going to choose one, because you're going to go deep into that one repetition, one strand, or one binary, and you're going deep. And you're going to locate exceptions to the pattern. Always interesting. You have this pattern, but then there's something out there that is very different. Why? Why? And you're going to ask, so I have noticed this. I have noticed this one thing that seems to be very important. And I have done all of this research and observed everything. What will I do with it? Now that I know all of this, how can I apply it? What if I chose to look at it from a different lens? So this is obviously stained glass, sun shining through the stained glass at a certain time of day. And you'll notice that it has many colors and patterns, very similar patterns in all of the colors. But what if I told you I did not see this with my own eyes? I saw vapors with my own eyes, but when I put my eyes to the camera lens, this is what I saw. I saw this beautiful, beautiful reflection of the sunlight through many different colored pieces of glass. But I only saw it through the lens of my camera. That's what happens when we analyze. We see in a new way that adds all the perspective that is so very important, that makes a difference, a huge difference in the lives of others and in the life of our businesses. So, analysis is understanding. We've observed, we've gathered the information, we've put it together in different ways, and we now understand it. But now in our application, we are going to contribute to the knowledge. But you say, I'm not an expert in this. You may not be, but no one can know all the knowledge. No one has your unique background. No one has your explicit perspective. You can contribute to the understanding and contribute meaningfully. So, underline your ideas. Circle those things that are intriguing to you and add to the conversation. Ask yourself, what did I learn? Both from my past experience, from now, and what do I hope to learn in the future? And how can I relive it in a different way? And how can I help someone else as well? So think of analysis as a business meeting that you relate to. Perhaps you were 15 minutes late, and the conversation has been around this challenge that the company is facing. You don't know what has been said prior to your arrival, but you might be able to pick it up as you listen intently. You're studying what is being said. And then you have a question, an idea that turns the whole conversation into a solution. You have that capability. And you have that capability in your writing as well, and in your speaking. So you too can contribute in a meaningful way. Every creation begins life as a challenge, just as every answer begins as a question. Did you pick up on that? Every answer begins with a question. What if? That question leads you to professional publications, to research, to scholarly peer-reviewed articles, and to conversations that just might change the world. So, what if you're trying to think of the topic for your essay, and or the topic for your oral presentation? Here are some keys that will give you a clue as to how to go about shaping your essay or your presentation. So an argument takes the concept. This is the concept. Business must constantly evolve technology and workspace environments to be capable of competing and excelling in their prospective markets. That's a statement. And the goal is to show that Wallace's analysis and use of other peer-reviewed articles that business evolution is happening and very much a focus of employers, especially my current employer. So in the concept, business must constantly evolve. The concept is an argument. It's a general, very general argument, but nevertheless, it's an argument. And the writer is set out to prove that business must constantly evolve technology and workspace environments, as opposed to an analysis. The goal is to learn how my company can create a desirable workplace for the changing needs of employees. So the goal is to learn. And the question that this student might ask is, how might the American GIS workplace environment be configured to motivate maximum productivity and job satisfaction? Okay, so the argument was not, the goal was not to ask a question. You see that? It's to show, to prove, okay? As opposed to the student asked a question: how might the American GIS workplace environment be configured? Wow, big difference in how we approach an analysis. And to apply it, we would ask about the concept or the theory, and we'd ask what the context, everything's about context, what goes before, what goes after, what's around, and all the background, okay, Schramm's model. How that concept applies to the situation and why it matters. And how does the concept alter the situation? Just like in the analysis, how might the American GIS system change its workplace environment to motivate the employees? So the concept would alter the situation. It's asking, so what? What if? What if? And then if you're looking at differences, we've all written those compare contrast papers. Analysis, when we look at differences, we're asking, okay, here are some differences but are they connected? How are they connected? And then we're asking, okay, what's the significance of those connections? And why does it matter? Are there key differences? And if so, what are those unexpected connections? So what? And then, of course, with similarities. Again, connections, significance. Why does it matter? Key similarities, unexpected connections, and the so what. Same questions, just in different situations. And then omissions. Oh my goodness. We all have to omit, don't we? There's just so much information that we can't include it all. We have to make choices. But in those choices, we must look at what the connections are between those omissions. Again, the context, the patterns, significance. Why does it matter? Key similarities between the omissions. Are there unexpected connections with those omissions? Again, so what? But here is the one we really need to pay attention to as well. Assumptions. We have assumptions about that rose, don't we? But not everybody has the same assumptions. We might ask, okay, is there a promise connected to the assumptions we've made? What's the context? Patterns? What are the assumptions that the author is making? What are my assumptions as I'm analyzing this? And what are the assumptions of my coworkers? What does it matter? I need to really identify and explain the assumptions in the research and in different positions. Have I left something out because of my assumptions? And will it matter? What if I assumed incorrectly? What if my assumptions are not the audience's assumptions? We can recuperate from this. What key issues or perspectives have been accepted by my audience, by me? What's been rejected and by whom? Why should we reconsider the rejected concept? It's always important to look at that rejected concept. Maybe there was something of value in it that we can use today that maybe wasn't usable a decade ago. Why does it matter? So what? Always going back to that. So I have this information. What will I do with it? Okay, so we need to remember what our purpose. Our purpose is not summarization, not argument, not compare contrast, not reporting. Our purpose is to analyze. And to analyze, we must observe deeply. We must interpret wholly. And we must apply to our present day experience, to yesterday's experience, and to tomorrow's experience. We must apply it. And perhaps we'll innovate. Have a great day. I look forward to seeing you at the next time. Bye.